Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc. So with the product officially hitting our locals game stores tomorrow, by the time this video posts, the meta is upon us. If you've been following the meta at all, you know what's coming. Blue Omnimon is about to dominate all of your local game stores everywhere. Once people can start getting product and it's a lot easier to get their hands on it, Blue Omnimon is going to be everywhere. Sure, there are some good rogue strategies, but the vast majority of players who want to be really competitive are just going to go straight for the Blue Omnimon and cut all corners. So it's imperative that you know how to beat that deck. It's going to be everywhere. I topped over a 200-man tournament with the PPG playing Blue Omnimon. I got top 4. So I kind of know where I'm coming from. I know the weaknesses of the deck. I've had them played against me, as well as when I play other Blue Omnimon players as a Blue Omnimon player. That's a tongue twister. It's you have to employ these strategies because they're super needed if you're gonna try to win. All right, so I wanted to pull up a match against a Blue Omnimon player here that I played during one of the tournaments. And you see us going back and forth here. You've got to really know the proper times when to play the Omnimon, right? Because if you play it too soon, you run the risk of them just Blue Omnimoning you back. So sometimes you just got to make calculated risks, though. So dropping an Omnimon, say, to clear out 2 blockers is a great time to play an Omnimon, right? You do have to worry about the fact that they can pass back with another Omnimon. See how they didn't attack with their Playmate first? You know, just a calculated risk you have to worry about because you're going to give them a lot of memory to work with. And that's what I want to go into next, is one of the key factors that just kills any Omnimon, blue or red, is memory control. At all costs, do what you can to put them at 1 memory. So pass your turn, give them 1 memory, because what's crucial about that, especially if they have a level 5 on field, is that they can't go into a level 6. Like a Playmate is a 2 evolution memory cost. So if they have to play that, digivolve into that, and then pass it back to your turn, that's an open Playmate that you know Omnimon is about to go on top of, and that gives you prime opportunity to play any kind of removal that you have to get rid of it. Okay? Speaking of removal, when do you play your removals, right? At what point? And depending on what color, greatly factors it. So stuff like red, Gaia Force. Gaia Force is a huge 8-cost drop, but it's incredibly powerful. Using it on a level 12 or a level 6 is always pretty solid because you prevent that Omnimon from ever dropping. If there is an Omnimon in play, depending on the situation, you may warrant wanting to leave it on the field if it's not doing that much, particularly if it's already attacked and returned that level 6 to hand. Then if you hit that, you're just taking off a 15k body, and that's not really doing much. However, if they go into Omnimon and that level 6 is still underneath it, that means they haven't got their double attack off. That is a good time to Gaia Force or Kakaida's Breath even, Trump Sword, whatever. If that level 6 is still under that Omnimon, go for it. It is always a good idea because that means next turn you're going to stop a double attack, especially if they have something like a Weregarurumon underneath it, and I want to get into this play here that's coming up next. If they have any kind of security attack bonus underneath it, so Greymon or Weregarurumon, that's potentially 4 security they're about to check next turn. Super important to get rid of it at that moment. If you're debating when the proper time is to clear something, that is definitely a good time to do it. So we've gone over choking for memory. That's the key element, is just kind of preventing them from ever being able to get multiple Digivolutions. You do have to worry about Hammer Spark. There's nothing really you can do to play around Hammer Spark except if you are a blue player yourself. Be aware when you attack into security into a blue player, there's a very high chance that there could be a Hammer Spark in there, which gives them 2 memory. If you attack and you only have 1 memory left, you instantly pass your turn if that gets triggered. So be very cautious. If you are a blue player and you have the Hammer Sparks in hand, and you're sitting at 1, go ahead and play 1. If you're about to do a bunch of attacking, play 1 to put yourself at 2 memory, so if you do hit a Hammer Spark, you don't immediately end your turn, and that's really big. I've made that mistake when I could have won, and I just didn't think about playing that Hammer Spark before I attacked, passed my turn, ended up losing the whole match because of I just didn't play that Hammer Spark before I started my attacks. So that's super important as a blue player playing against a blue player. As other colors, what you can do to help mitigate that is if you've got, 2 or higher memory and you're planning on doing some attacks, you might want to do your attacks before you start playing other cards, before you start, digivolving here and there. Get any attacks out of the way that you can get done before you do any kind of digivolving like that. It's just because nothing like doing a whole bunch of big plays, putting yourself down to 1 memory, and then decide to start attacking, because that's when you're going to pass your turn before you ever even got to do anything with all those Digimon that you just got out onto the field. All right, going into purple, a good purple counter. This is crazy. So Chimeramon is perfect for dealing with blue. Every time you see an open 5 on the field, definitely, if you can, drop a Chimeramon. You don't realize how badly you're going to hurt a player, a blue player, especially if that's the only thing they have on field like I did. You drop that Chimeramon, and it just sets them back. I had nothing in the raising area. I had nothing else on field. That Chimeramon just decimated me every single time. And it happened multiple times. In this exact match here, Chimeramon, just over and over, just repeatedly. And then Trump Sword is always a good one. You never know when you're going to have to deal with that. Devimon is a great one. Look at that. Again, Chimeramon. The only level 5 I have on field, and he Chimeramons me. Repeatedly. Look at that. I'm so stretched thin that I'm hard playing level 5s. Look at this. Night Raid into a level 3. You know what's coming next? I got a lone level 5 on field. Another Chimeramon. Yeah. And I've just got nothing. And I can't come back from that. There's so much control. It's half the time more important. Look at that hard play of Plesiomon. Yeah, that's going to go real well. But it's important to maintain control. If the blue player leaves open things on the field for you to take off, do it. Okay? Don't ever let them ramp up into anything. If you keep clearing their board off, they're not going to have the resources to keep coming back. And especially as a purple players have lots of removal. The Chimeramon, the Trump Sword, the Devimon, the Millenniummon. There's just so much. Beelzemon. There's just so much that you can do with purple. And just keep focusing on clearing their field. Be more worried about clearing their field than doing security checks. Because you're going to burn through their resources to the point where they get so desperate that they hard play a Plesiomon. And at that point, you're kind of getting into that point where we're about to just take over. If they're that desperate, then you're about to start cleaning up. And it's literally that easy once you get to that level of them making plays like this. Here's another great example here. I have to end my turn with a Metal Garurumon. He is so ready for it that he's willing to sacrifice his own Metal Garurumon just to clear my board. Again, willing to lose his own level 6 to make sure I don't have a level 6 for an Omnimon to come out. Here, Beelzemon taking out a blocker, such a great opportunity with Beelzemon being able to remove big threats like that. And here, I'm finally get to the point where I get to go into an Omnimon. He sees that this is about to happen. He's got up against the wall here, no security. The Omnimon comes down, pops, I believe, the blocker here, so that way I can push for game next turn. And at that point, oh no, I do, because the Millenniummon was in hand. But he gets to that point where he's like, okay, just go all in then. There's nothing wrong with it. He's got enough in play there that he can literally push for game, because Omnimon isn't that much of a threat. Once you've taken control of the game for so long that by the time Omnimon does hit the field, it doesn't matter anymore, because you've already taken control of the game for so long that you're at the end anyway. So there's no reason to to stress anymore. And that's basically it. It's really not that hard to control a blue player. Their plays are very linear. They're just going to ramp up into these big level 6s and then drop an Omnimon on you at some point. So again, maintain memory control. Don't ever give them a lot of memory to work with. And because they'll make these big plays, they're forced to make these big plays, I should say, to give you at least, 1, 2, 3 memory, and then you just get to go off with it. But make sure you end by giving them only 1 to work with. Super important. Yes, Hammer Spark is a problem, but that's not always going to be the case. More often than not, they're only playing 4 Hammer Sparks. They're not going to have it in hand every time. I know it feels like they do, right? But realistically, you're going to get several turns out where you keep putting them at 1, they don't get to do anything. And they're going to go up into something, they're going to leave it vulnerable on field because they're forced to digivolve into something like that. And that's when you have to strike. No matter what color you're playing, make sure you play these cards because it's going to be a threat. It is going to be a threat. Make sure you have stuff that's going to be able to handle it. Removal is just so important. If you're red, 4 Omni or 4 Gaia Force for sure. If you're black, de-digivolve works really well. Purple, I covered purple pretty well, but purple has amazing board control. Chimeramon, Beelzemon, Millenniummon, Trump Sword, they just have all kinds of options to work with. Trump Sword, purple is the best rogue deck and takes more tournament wins next to blue Omnimon simply because it has such a good matchup against blue Omnimon. And it's one of the only decks that can reliably beat it currently in the 1.0 meta. And that's why you see it as the second most played deck, is because the most played deck is blue Omnimon. So they have the best matchup against blue Omnimon, and it's honestly probably more fun. You get to have all these different types of plays that you can do, whereas blue Omnimon is very simple, very, very simple. It is very strong and very effective, which is why it has the most tops, but purple is still really great. But even other colors can do it as well. You just got to make sure you play these types of removal to handle it. Yellow has Slash Angemon, so you reduce the DP of the Omnimon, and then you attack over it with the Slash Angemon. So you have to play cards like that in these decks, knowing that you're going to be playing against a blue Omnimon. If you're thinking you're just going to play against something else like Rookie Rush, then you're probably not going to be able to actually beat an Omnimon when it comes out. And that's one of the bigger factors. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be flooding your locals. It's going to be everywhere, okay? So just be ready for it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and comment, as well as subscribe if you haven't already. If you enjoy this type of content, I try to put it out as much as possible, so definitely subscribe. Also, if you really enjoyed the content, check out my Patreon. I have a link in the description below for it. You can get access to my Discord server, as well as if you're a Dragon Village M fan, account takeovers where I help you out with your account. If you're a Digimon fan, I've got monthly giveaway. Well, not even giveaways. I've got monthly merch that's specific to Patreon. Stuff like memory counters, custom made. This is the baby form of Vmon here. There's going to be more in the works also. So lots of memory counters, all kinds of awesome Digimon merch. So definitely check out that tier. And if you're just all out crazy, there's other tiers if you're that dedicated. As well as check out my Teespring. I've got awesome merch there. Official Battle Ready Ink merch. Awesome phone cases for you Digimon fans out there. They've got them for iPhones as well as Samsungs. So they are super sweet. If you've seen the last Digimon movie, that's where these are from. I had a friend of mine custom make these so that way they fit perfectly on these phone cases. They look super good. So definitely check those out. But at the end of the day, if you can't do any of that, just like I said, like the video. That helps a ton. And subscribe. It doesn't hurt, but it helps me. So that's what's the real benefit. And as always, I'll see you next time.